Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the third lesson in the Learn Conversational Armenian video series. This is a very exciting lesson. In this video, we're going to be talking about the verb to be, which is ëllլալ, and all its conjugations in the present tense. So, the verb for to be is irregular. And what does that mean? That means that its conjugations, unfortunately, do not follow one of the three classic conjugation schemes that I covered in one of my previous videos in lesson 2. And that's quite unfortunate, because that means that this is going to be a little bit more challenging to learn and may not follow that pattern. But the plus side is that this is such a commonly used verb that it's not even going to matter that this is irregular, because you're going to use this so much, you're going to know it cold. So that's great. So let's learn this, because it's useful. Real quick review. Up here, we have the classic sentence structure in Armenian. I posted a video about this. It was my last video. But if you haven't seen it, it's not a big deal. I suppose you could go see it, get a more in-depth understanding. But just to get on with it here, the main thing in that video was that the verb in Armenian comes at the end of the sentence. In English, it was in the middle. That's basically what the video covered. Okay. The example sentence we're going to use here to conjugate is the I am happy. I'll go back to that later. But let's get on to the meat of the video, which is the verb. So what is the verb? What is the translation of to be in Armenian? In its infinitive form, it's ëllլալ. Okay, ëllլալ. 2 syllables, ël, and lal, pronounced ëllլալ. Okay, but interestingly, in the present tense, we're not going to be conjugating ëllլալ with this ending, and actually, the conjugations of ëllլալ in the present tense don't even resemble the infinitive form at all. So I'm going to go over the conjugations, and you're going to go like, hey, how is that? That doesn't even look anything similar in spelling to the infinitive form ëllլալ. And yes, I know it's quite irregular, but that's how it is. All right, so let's get to it, shall we? So we have our pronouns, teranunները. We have that written here. So I, you, he, we, you, plural, and they. Okay, I have all these here. Okay, now let's conjugate it to each one. So the example sentence, as I mentioned, is I am happy. Okay, so in Armenian, the verb, the am portion in Armenian is going to be at the end of the sentence, right? Given the classic sentence structure that I covered earlier. Okay, so for yes, for I, it's going to be yes, ուրախ, which is the adjective for happy, ուրախ. The verb at the end of the sentence, which is it's the conjugated form of ëllլալ, okay, is pronounced yem, okay, yem. That's spelled with a yech and a m, so yem. So ëllլալ conjugated to I, the pronoun I, in the present tense is yem, okay? For you, it's tun, ուրախ, right? Ուրախ, yes. Okay, it's pronounced with it's not pronounced, it's spelled with a yech and a s, so it's yes. But sometimes when it's said quickly, it's just pronounced as s. Tun, ուրախ, s. Okay? Tun, ուրախ, s. Okay? For he or she or on, recall that the pronoun on doesn't differentiate between genders. Okay, it's on, ուրախ, e. Okay, just one letter, e. Մենք, we, ուրախ, yenk. Okay, again, it's spelled with a yech, a n, and a ke. So technically the pronunciation should be yank, but when it's said oftentimes, when it's just said in pronunciation similar to how we said for yes, it would just be pronounced as enk. So it would be menk urach enk. Okay? And then we have tuk urach yek, or just ek. Same thing as before. It's a yech and a k. Ek. All right? And anonk, they, anonk urach hen. Hen. Okay? So again, spelled with a yech and a n. And when it's said kind of quickly, instead of saying yen, which you wouldn't necessarily be wrong, but it's more common to just say anonk urach en. So you don't really emphasize the yech sound. You just say en. Almost as if there's e, but there isn't. Okay, so real quick review, okay? We have for ëllal, okay, that's in its infinitive form, but this is irregular. So in the present tense, it doesn't really look like ëllal, but the conjugations in the present tense of ëllal are, okay, to review, yes urach yem, tun urach es, an urach e, menk urach enk, tuk urach ek, anonk urach en. And there you go. This is how you conjugate ëllal in the present tense, and the other tenses are to come.